Hit it resume. Okay, we're recording again. And thank you, Michael, for showing up even though you're sick today. And thanks for doing your best to host us.
No problem, man. Where's the PDF at?
It's in files, upper left.
Right.
Hmm?
Give me just a moment.
So I was listening to Happy Pocket, and I was on the, I think it's called, not Action. Let's see what it's called.
Acting.
Thank you. Acting.
Yep.
Be do have, right? So
yeah, love that chapter, man.
Definitely. Can you pull it up?
Dude, sorry, the struggle is real here. I may switch off my stop share because I think that's slowing things down, and you can share from yours. It's probably significant.
Sure, I'll do it.
Yep, I'm stopping my screen share.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry. What's going on?
It still says that you didn't stop yet.
I did. It's just giving me the little spinning wheel.
Yeah. Okay. So now I'm sharing mine. Right. And we are, last time we kind of made it, I kind of flailed around goals and being first cause and stuff like that. So we're dragging this book out a little bit, but hey, it's okay. We're still doing it, right?
Dude, I've had this book on audio in my car for the last 3 months, and there's not a single time that I haven't listened to it and got something new out of it. Every single.
So pick up wherever you want to pick up, man. Like, it's totally fine.
Well, since you mentioned that chapter, acting, that which receives, let's go with that.
All right. Good deal.
And I don't know if you've checked out the very end. There's like a study guide for group discussions for this exact purpose.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
I didn't, but you want to
check? There's a perfect couple launch point paragraphs in there. And I love this one because it talks about taking action, which, as we know, as entrepreneurs, is critical.
Yeah.
Paramount. So I'm going to just read this little group exercise for just a sec while you're getting that pulled up.
Oh, you want me to pull it up? It's at the back.
I thought that's what you were doing. So,
my bad. Okay.
That's all right. We're good. For chapter 8,
down.
The group discussion says, describe a time when you experienced a significant achievement. Describe how that achievement began in yourself with motivation, focus, and desire. Next, describe how yourself, through things like motivation, focus, and desire, can attract wealth. Finally, describe what kind of action you can take to begin to experience wealth. I love that. I absolutely love it.
So, well, maybe just grab it and scroll down.
It's literally like the very last few pages.
Okay, well, here I'm at the index. I'm at the bottom.
Oh, it may be in a little different order than on the PDF.
Appendix. Okay, appendix.
Looks like at the beginning of that it is.
Are we using the same PDF?
You know what? That may not be part of the PDF. It may be just a bonus supplement that came with the printed book. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's not there.
Okay, there's a bunch of affirmations here.
Those are great.
Okay, well, I'm not seeing it.
Okay, well, basically,
piece by piece.
It's just meant for group discussion anyway, which is what we're doing anyhow. So we don't need it. But let's say, for the sake of conversation, let's. What if I asked you that question, Ahmed?
Yeah, why don't you start with the first question?
All right. So, describe a time when you experienced a significant achievement. I definitely know of one that totally relates to this for myself, but I want you to.
Okay. I remember one time I won the gold medal in wrestling at a tournament. That was pretty
What?
fun.
For real, dude?
Yeah. when I was in
I
when
did
I was in
not
high
picture you as a wrestler at all, man. That just blew my mind. What?
like yeah, Greco-Roman academic wrestling. I did that in I think it was middle and high school.
Serious, dude?
Yeah.
That's
I
freaking
think I did
awesome.
also like league wrestling between, I think when I finished up one year and I was like, man, I don't want to quit. I want to keep going. And so, I got into the league. Yeah.
Wow. You just like cease to amaze me, man. That's awesome, dude. That is so awesome. All right, so that's a significant achievement, a gold medal, let's call it. I mean, it wasn't the Olympics, but regardless,
It
this was
was a
what,
tournament.
it was high school level or middle school?
Yeah, either yeah, I believe it was high school level.
Okay. Um, Now take it a step further and describe how that achievement began in yourself with motivation, focus, and desire. Because those things don't just happen by accident, right?
No, no, yeah. I mean, I trained real hard and I was like, just every match, I was like, okay, I got to win this one, and then I was like, wow, I'm actually, I only have like one more to go till, get the goal today. So I can do it, So it's kind of like the actions built the clarity and the clarity built the confidence and, confidence made me be the winner. So
You said a couple of things there I want to touch on. So what was the motivation to want to like do it?
well, what
Was
was
it
the motivation? Um, well, I mean, it would be awesome to win,
winning is a good motivation for sure, right? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would feel really proud of myself. And so I just wanted to kind of prove it, that I can do it. So I think that was a motivation, kind of a mental thing.
So
My dad was always like motivating me. He's always like, my parents, they couldn't come, so I was like going with friends and stuff. But I was gonna make them proud, So I remember when I came in to at night, when my friend's parents dropped me off at my house. I came in and I was like pretending that I didn't get anything, and then I told my dad like, "Well, you told me to kick butt, but all I could get was the gold medal."
bam, take that.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, man. That's dude. Okay, so like let's touch on a couple things there, like because wanting to do it for yourself and your dad is, make him proud is one thing, but like let's face it, practices are long. Sometimes you're tired, sometimes you're over it. The coaches are
Really.
in your face, you got to dig deeper. And that doesn't come from a place of like, oh, I'm just doing this to make my dad proud. That has to come with like,
No, I mean it was fun. I was like, I'm getting in shape. I mean, like I was a bit of a nerd in school, but at the same time, I was actually athletic. I mean, I did sports every season. So yeah, I
that's
did
fantastic, bro.
cross country, wrestling, and soccer. So yeah,
And one other thing that I wanted to touch on there that struck me about your story is like, so you didn't necessarily like set out to win the gold. Like you just dedicated to the process, worked through it, and then you were like, oh, I just one more match and I win the gold. So it
yeah, pretty
wasn't
much.
like it wasn't like in reference to one of the earlier chapters, like, well, I'll believe it when I see it. It was the exact opposite, like Happy Pocket talks about. You were seeing that because you believed in yourself before you saw it. You didn't even realize you were one step away from
Yeah,
the goal until you
yeah.
already
I guess I didn't. I
done
guess
it,
I
right?
never really thought about me being like the gold medal winner. I was like, I'm just every match I go to, I got to win every match. And then, wow, look at that! It's the final match. I could beat this guy. you know, I have to beat this guy. It's my
And
final
then you
match.
were. When
And
you
then I
believe
did.
it, you see it and you held it in your hand. If you can see it in
Mhm.
your mind, you can hold it in your hand. Like that.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome, dude. That totally just blew my mind. I had no idea you were. I would have never in a million years guessed
I
that.
mean, overall, I was probably a mediocre wrestler, but I did win one gold medal. I won a bunch of other medals, but I think it was the only time I ever won the gold.
That's so awesome, man. Now, what concepts in there can you use to attract wealth?
Just kind of like what you said, I guess, have faith in the process and devote yourself to every match, if you will, making sure you win it. So I guess every task that you need to go ahead and do, make sure you do your best, and 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 make sure that you put the action, you do your action that you've been practicing or that you've been studying on. And I'm just thinking about all this stuff right now in the business, because lately I kind of taken a step back
Yeah.
to kind of analyze my strategy and targeting and stuff like that. So I've been actually spending a lot more time with my team than I actually been spending on my own marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of started with Facebook shutting some stuff down. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll just make a whole bunch of organic stuff. And then I just never got around to it. So what I need to do in order to win the gold is I need to okay, now I've gotten a bunch of these posts out there, but I haven't really put any money behind them. I have not tested them. I know exactly what to do. I've trained myself. I just need to go ahead and win each match. So like with each ad, I need to go ahead and just win. I need to go and make a campaign out of it and hit the button,
One at a time.
One at a time. Boom, boom, boom. I just need to do it and stop worrying or whatever, and stop procrastinating. Just go and win each match, win each ad, and just make sure that, and if something happens, okay, I just got to change it or make another one and whatever. So.
No, you also said something there I want to touch on also. Like you said that there was stepping back and observing a lot of things, and there's some changes going on in our community and stuff, and that's a normal process of it. But instead of just not being productive at all, you chose to focus on your team members, which is still in the same.
They definitely needed it. They needed it, and I needed to help them because I kind of consider it like this: instead of me spending $5, $10, or $15 a day on ads, if I have 3 people who are spending $5 a day on ads, well, it's the same thing. It's really the same thing. And if I spend the time to make sure I teach them and show them exactly what they need to do, it is really the same thing. So it's now when you build a team, it's your power increases. For every person, you basically duplicate your entire capability.
It's the same thing until their ripple process unfolds and they pass.
Yeah, that's when it gets good.
Dollars you could have spent on yourself with your ads, even though you focused on your teams, that could turn into 10 times that easily, right?
Oh yeah, it could. It's true.
So I don't think that was time wasted at all. That was probably the most efficient, economical use of energy you could have.
To be honest with you, because the way I was really working, I had been targeting the wrong audience. There's a lot of time wasted with people who weren't ready, weren't capable, wrong mindset, not financially capable, a lot of stuff like that. And so it was a big time suck, and I didn't have enough time for my actual team. And so I'm actually glad that I took the time. I actually went up to Memphis, Tennessee. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, to help one of my team members, and planning on I was just thinking about it. I'm going to take a trip probably down to Jacksonville, Florida. My newest team member, I'm probably going to go down there and meet him up personally and make sure. But this guy is a rock star. This guy's name is Mahan. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. I have similar experience, man. Very similar experience.
Yeah, this guy's flying through everything. He already knows how to do. He already spent money on ads. I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah, Mary's doing the same thing. She's like,
awesome.
Ooh. But I had to actually cut a couple loose because they were just becoming incredibly needy and time suck, and they were just starting to hit me up 10 times a day for advice, and then they wouldn't follow it or take any action whatsoever. Yeah. And it was like, hey, look, you're on my team, but at the same time, I'm not holding your hand through this. I'm here as a guide and a mentor and to help you, but I'm not responsible for your success. Only you are. So all I can do is give you the advice and the tips. And I eventually had to have kind of a pretty straight up conversation. It was like, look, I don't think you're ready for this. You seem more ready to sit back and analyze and really get really gripped over some tiny little detail instead of just like taking some action, even if it's imperfect, and making some sort of progress. We all know people like that who go to the edge of the diving board and will stand there for 10 minutes, like playing some inner psychological game instead of just going off, you know? It doesn't matter if your dive's perfect or not, at least you go off and you get out and do it again. Like, but there's a couple people that were just...
Did they step up to the plate, or did they say, okay, I'm not ready?
One did, one didn't. And it was weird because I was like, man, yeah, I got to say goodbye. But then after, it felt awkward at first, but then I was like, nope. In the long run, I just saved myself an enormous amount of time and energy because I can't spend a significant part of my day trying to convince somebody else to care about themselves. It has to come from within. It just has to come from within. There's no way, you know, I can't carry somebody else's like soul. That's not how this works.
That's awesome.
So,
well, how empowering is that?
Like I said, yeah, it was weird at first because I'm like, who am I to be in this position to tell somebody whether maybe they're, you know, this or that? But
I know I'm just a baby. I just got started, but you're not ready.
That's how awkward it felt. It really did. But I was at the same time, I've learned quickly enough and paid attention enough and know exactly what I'm going to do that I know when somebody's not aligned with that. It doesn't take a rocket scientist or like years of experience to be like, okay, you and me, we're not on the same wave here. I don't know what you're going to do with this, but here's what I can offer you. And, you know, when you're ready to do some things, then we'll reconnect. Until then, have fun spinning your wheels. That was
okay.
like, that was just kind of how it was in the nicest way.
Let's hope they don't watch this recording.
I'm not saying anything here that I wouldn't tell that person straight to their face, so it's fine. And have already said. So.
Okay, good.
That's awesome, man. So along with chapter 8, I got to share a little personal story from my school history too, because it just is so perfect with this. I was the first person in my family to go to college, and I got into college through financial aid and some scholarships, and my family was super proud. And then when I got in there, I have these ideas of being like a landscape architect because all I had done was like mow lawns and had my own landscaping company, but it was really just like a lawn jockey job. It wasn't anything remotely living up to my true potential. And I was so naive. There was a whole world of studies that I'd never even knew existed, you know? So I went into college thinking I was going to start my own landscape architecture business, designing like parks and golf courses and stuff. Well, my first year in there, I got exposed to so many different things that I was just like this wild-eyed kid in a candy store and was like just thirsty for so much knowledge. And I made my way over to the music department because I'd played guitar since I was a kid. But the music department at my college was like pretty traditional. They didn't have a big jazz program, and they definitely didn't have a guitar major. But I joined the choirs there, and I bought this. Well, I didn't even buy it. I traded an old snowboard, for a clarinet at a pawn shop. And I decided to teach myself to play clarinet so I could join the concert band at college.
Yeah.
And I came in and auditioned, and they were like, "Did you play in high school or middle school?" And I said, "No." Never played the clarinet before until this summer. And they were like, "Okay, well, the music program here isn't really for somebody who's just starting an instrument." And I was like, "The instrument doesn't matter. I'm a musician, I can assure you. Like, this is just a tool that I'm using."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Okay, you can audition." Well, 5 years later, I graduated. Hey, baby. I'm doing the Entrepreneurs Workshop with Ahmed. Saying, hey.
Hey, Ahmed.
What's up?
I just got home.
How are you doing?
5 years later, I graduated double degree in music education, music performance, and first chair in concert band, jazz band, woodwind ensemble, and the a cappella men's choir that got to sing at Carnegie Hall. So,
oh my God!
I remember feeling pretty proud of that. But that set,
in your face.
That set a mindset. Yeah, that my professor still mentions me to new students that come in sometimes. It's fun. And that mindset. I remember there was something about when somebody told me like, yeah, well, that's not really how it's done. There was
Did
something
you
in
make an ad out of that yet?
No, I hadn't even thought of that story till just now.
You should totally do that.
Maybe I should. Yeah, that's actually a really good
The
idea.
hero's journey, man.
The hero's journey.
Yes.
There's something, like when somebody tells you like you can't do something, or like, oh well, you sort of missed the boat on that, and you just get this like,
Oh, really? Oh, I'm going to show you.
yeah, exactly. And I was like,
I'll show you who missed
I
the
don't
boat.
need you uppity, fine art people to tell me I'm not a musician, and I just like, I went to town, man. But I also lived in a practice room for 8 hours a day between classes, before school, after school. It was like all I lived, ate, and breathed. And then after school, I would join bands and go out and play in clubs till 2 in the morning, and then go back to school the next day.
For clarinet?
No, I played guitar with the bands in the clubs and stuff. And this was when I was like 19. I was in like bars and stuff. I wasn't even supposed to be in there. I just, for me, like college was a huge opportunity. But then the more I talked to my professors and counselors, they were like, what makes you happy? And when they asked that, because I always thought that I needed to go and make my family proud with some like financial thing or whatever. And they're like, what's your passion? And I was like, dude, it's a no-brainer. I love everything about music. I'm just gonna do music. And my parents were like, what? But in hindsight, like, I've traveled the world 4 or 5 times over. I've been to 72 different countries. I've worked on luxury cruise liners. I've played tons of stages across the world, and like made a living teaching private lessons, being a public school teacher in the music department. I've made a complete, stable, and utterly lucrative life for myself out of being a musician. So that whole concept of like, oh, that's a worthless degree, was a joke, and I didn't believe it. And maybe it is a worthless degree for some people if they don't utilize it, but I didn't believe that for 1 second. And it didn't matter what anybody else told me anyway. I already knew that's what I was going to do. Now, am I like driving around in a Lamborghini or something? No.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Just give yourself a couple years and you'll be there.
Give it 2 more years. Maybe a couple months. Who knows? But yeah, I remember that work ethic, that mindset. To me, it was already done because I could see it in my mind. and it's just like, yeah, I guess you're right. It's like the hero's journey. Everybody just kind of counted me out already because I was the new kid on the block and they'd been playing years ahead of me, but it just made me that much more hungry. I just studied that much harder. I practiced that much more. What I made up for, what I lacked in years of experience, I made up for with dedication to the craft. And I'd never worked that hard for anything in my life. And that mindset is just carried over ever since then.
Wow.
I'd forgotten about that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Oh, you're welcome. I just was listening.
Wow, this thing is cruising along. It's already 40 after. So, I think we got 1 chapter done, Ahmed.
Which was action?
Action. So we can segue it into chapter 9 for next week and get that queued up if you want.
Okay.
Which is perfect because it says list all of those areas in your life where you feel certain, where you just knew. Next, those list those areas in your life where you feel unsure, conflicted, or confused, and describe how this book can help you resolve any uncertainties in order to be certain about your life. Be as descriptive and specific as you can. Describe a time in your life when persistence paid off. I think we both just described one of those. And those were from old school, like school days. Imagine, what that's like now.
Yeah.
And where you can apply that persistence in your life right now. I think with all the transition going on in our community, it's a perfect example to apply all that persistence.
For sure.
So,
well, cool. Until next time then, huh? Same bat channel, same bad time, right?
Yeah, that seems like a pretty good place to wrap it up, don't you think?
Well, cool. Let me just stop the recording, and if you don't mind, just stay on just for a minute, okay?
Thanks for tuning in to the Entrepreneurs Workshop, everybody. We will see you next Monday. Later.
All right.